Yes, you read that title right. Marlow faked her hand cam. And more than just that, the video of her fighting me in pot for a tier test on her channel is also fake. Now, you might be a little confused on if it was fake, why didn't all those people who fought her in the video say anything? Well, that's the thing. Technically, we did all those fights with those scores. But those aren't the same fights you are watching on screen. The fights with me, Golem, and VV they are all recreations of real fights. Now, why she did this most likely has to do with the fact that it would be too easy to spot her cheating from her point of view. So she completely recreated and staged the fights. Before I move on, I just want to say all this information was discovered after I accepted her duel, and she has yet to respond to me. Now, how do we know she recreated these fights? If you watch the first part of Marlow's new response, she admits how she slowed down tick rate and staged her montages. I want to emphasize montages here because she only says this is true for the montages.
Assist. The truth is, almost every montage on my channel is heavily staged. And by that, I mean the majority of clips are scenarios that I replay a few times to create more variety in the montage.
When someone heard about this, they pointed out to me the possibility of her doing it in the more important fights too. So after some research, we found some shocking stuff. If you didn't know, every time you load up Minecraft, from the moment you click play to the moment you close your game, it records something in a text document called logs. These logs record important information, such as messages being sent in chat and the time they were sent in chat. Now, fortunately, MCPvP has a system where at the end of the duel, a message is sent in chat giving data such as their health, the score, and the amount of pots. And because it is sent in chat, these are also recorded in your logs that you can look back upon. Now, I'm going to put on screen some of the chat messages from Marlow's POV of her fight with Golem. She used this in her Hacking is Bad video with Handcam to prove she's legit. And I'm going to show what Golem's log says about it. Yes, as you can see, literally none of the health counters line up correctly. But that isn't even all of it. Here's the pot counter in the video, and you can see the real one in the logs. Additionally, the time of the rounds didn't line up at all either. Also, this isn't something that the server could mess up, because the server would have sent the same incorrect message to both, but it just happened to send only to Marlow. I also tried checking if any of my past videos had somehow messed up in the logs, and I couldn't find anything. But okay, let's say somehow, that day, something was broken. Let's take a look at the pot test with me and Marlow that she uploaded. Once again, the pots and the health and time of the rounds just didn't line up at all. For even more confirmation, I had two people who were spectating the match send me their logs. And what we found was that they match up with mine. The only outliers were Marlow. Also, if you're having doubts on whether this was the same duel, you can see in the logs I'm down 0-8, get 2 rounds in a row, then lose 52. Exactly what happened in the tier test, and in her video. So it's clear she's trying to recreate this exact fight. Also, in the fight against VV who also had sent me his logs, once again, the health is inaccurate. Also, in this duel, Jacker happened to spectate, and in her logs, the health matched up perfectly with Vivi's, so once again, it was just Marlow who was the outlier. Now, something to point out was, according to Jacker, after Marlow won 5-0, Marlow had asked Jacker to stop spectating, and something that never reached the video, we can see Marlow ask Vivi to just do normal UHC duels, not for the video, and we can see the score was 8-10 to Marlow, which is significantly closer than the 5-0. Also, some of you might have realized, if this is all true, all we would need is a single recording of her fights and it would all be over. However, she managed to save herself from almost being in the situation with Adam Sony. According to Adam Sony, he was initially supposed to be one of the people Marlow fought for a handcam video. However, if you look at the screenshot, she instantly said never mind when Adam Sony had revealed he recorded the fight. Even worse is this message Marlow sent to Golem, where she directly gets confirmation on whether or not Golem was recording the fight. I'm going to show all the differences on a spreadsheet right here, and literally none of them line up. Now, if you're still convinced and holding on to the hope that it's some sort of crazy bug that has only affected Marlow, let me tell you something that's undeniable. I went back to my DMs with Marlow on the day we did our pod test, and I found something really interesting. She mentioned how my helmet broke during the fight, and I vividly remember this happening in our test also. However, if you go through the fight that was posted on Marlow's channel, you can see at no point did my helmet ever break in her recreation. Lastly, about her challenge of the duel, In my opinion, it's possible she made it seem like she was willing to do something this big, so it can make people think, oh, if she's willing to do something like that, she must be legit, without actually having the intent of going through with it in the first place. We've seen her do something similar before to Adam Sony, where she mentions that she will live stream handcam and makes up an excuse saying her internet wasn't good enough for streaming. Additionally, I can admit I'm a little scared posting this video knowing there's a chance they try to take me down with them. So to be blunt here, I do not have a clean, perfect history, and I've definitely messed up in the past. I can confidently say that doesn't represent me today. I believe what Marlow has done is infinitely worse. And now that I've come across this information, I can't let this slide even if it means risking everything. To conclude this video, my final verdict is there is absolutely zero chance that her fights that she uploaded with me, Golem, and Vivi are actually real. And using recreated fights in a video that had the purpose of proving your innocence is disgusting and proves you're guilty. Why else would someone do something like this other than to avoid being caught cheating? I know I keep saying this on every drama related post, but I really do hate doing stuff like this. I just can't stay still knowing I could do something about it.